Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of my mini-series about the Cambodian genocide. I am your host, Evan Jameson, and today we will continue to explore the Cambodian genocide. I'm specifically going to focus on the invasion of Cambodia's capital city, Phnom Penh, by the Khmer Rouge. As you remember, the Khmer Rouge was a radical communist party that was led by Pol Pot. Between 1970 and 1975, Cambodia was in the midst of a civil war. This war was fought between the communist Khmer Rouge and the dictatorship of the Khmer Republic. The Khmer Rouge was being supported by North Vietnam and China, while the Khmer Republic, led by Lon Nol, was supported by the United States and South Vietnam. The Khmer Rouge made their way through the countryside, slowly moving closer to the capital city of Phnom Penh. The United States, supporting Lon Nol, was involved and dropped thousands of tons of bombs on the communists to try and slow their attack. It worked and slowed them down, but not for long, as by the end of 1973, the Khmer Republic's control of Cambodia had dwindled down to the capital city, the northwest, and some small towns outside the capital. On April 17, 1975, the Khmer Rouge moved into the capital city of Phnom Penh. The citizens greeted the communists with enthusiasm, believing they were finally going to have some peace after the years of constant fighting. Pol Pot appointed himself as the new Prime Minister of Cambodia and decided that Cambodia needed some changes. Almost immediately after the Khmer Rouge had infiltrated Phnom Penh, they implemented their radical ideas. They pulled millions of citizens out of their homes and forced them into the countryside. Schools, businesses, and homes were all raided with loud horns and guns raised. Babies, senior citizens, hospital patients, and violently ill citizens were just some of the estimated 2.5 million people that were pulled from the city to start work. If people were not moving fast enough, warning shots were fired, but not all of them were warning shots. One individual who experienced this mass evacuation is Sopeep Hang. Sopeep's story is told in the book titled Children of Cambodia's Killing Fields by Dith Pran. Dith Pran was a survivor of the Cambodian genocide himself, and his book compiles stories and memoirs from dozens of other true survivors from the genocide. One of whom is Sopeep Hang. Sopeep was young when the Khmer Rouge invaded her home of Phnom Penh in 1975. She recalls seeing a man shot down with his bloodied head buried in the cement when the communists ordered the evacuation. She states, "Children were crying because they were being separated from their parents. Some were crying because their parents had abandoned them. The streets were full of thousands and thousands of frightened people running and shouting for lost ones. Many of their belongings were left behind. Elderly people were forced out of their homes with only the clothes on their bodies." Sopeep explains the mass confusion and chaos that ensued when the Khmer Rouge entered the capital. Children and families were being separated or lost, much like what occurred during the Holocaust. All ages of people had no choice and no warning. They had to pack up and leave right then and there. Even though the Khmer Rouge rolled into town shouting victory from their vehicles, it was not a victory for the Cambodian citizens. Many were killed by the Khmer Rouge because they were moving slowly or behind. Many thousands more were killed due to exhaustion from the walking and constant movement. They were not the only ones killed in this move, however. The Khmer Rouge immediately implemented their ideas of eliminating Western influences. Throughout the move of the 2.5 million people, they gunned down Cambodian citizens who were highly educated and individuals who were associated with the previous Khmer Republic or any Western civilization. During this expulsion of Western influence, the Khmer Rouge singled out foreign citizens and forced them all into the French embassy of Phnom Penh. The citizens were then loaded up on trucks and hauled to the Thai border, where they were dumped in Thailand. Their plan was to completely transform Cambodia into a rural society based around agriculture and to eliminate Western influence from civilian life. Due to their elimination of Western influence, not much was known about what was going on inside Cambodia during this mass evacuation, as Pol Pot had isolated the country from other nations. Regardless, reports of unspeakable hardships continued to trickle out, states the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Pol Pot wanted to exploit each citizen to serve the state. The Khmer Rouge planned for each citizen to have a small plot of land that was usually around 7 acres. Each citizen would then work on that land and farm crops for the government. Author Lyndon C. Marshall explains, the transportees were encouraged to grow crops such as maize, cassava, and yams, rice paddies, the source of the heart of the Cambodian diet, and the tractors necessary to work them on a large-scale basis were kept under the strict control of the Khmer Rouge. This shows that Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge were taking advantage of their citizens to make them work directly for the government. They pulled people from their lives and gave them these specific duties to perform. If they were not performed to absolute detail, then they would be violently murdered. This immediate evacuation of citizens from Phnom Penh and forcing them to start working was the beginning of Pol Pot's reign of terror. The constant work and violence towards the citizens of Cambodia only got worse through the years of Pol Pot's rule, and we will focus on that in later episodes. Thank you for listening.